Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we are talking about it's going to take a miracle to retire, what to do next.
Yeah, this is something that we hear a lot from people because of the conditions in the world right now. Maybe it's your stocks, it's your house, whatever it is you feel, your job, that you're not going to make it. And because those numbers keep going up of what they are telling you you're going to need. We've been exactly in this position many times, actually for most of our life, not feeling like we're going to make it. We've never even considered that we were going to make it, and now here we are. So we're going to give you a little bit of background on that and give you some stats and give you some tips on what you can do to ensure that you do make it. But we started out working for nonprofits when we were first married. No retirement, no 401k, no IRA, no anything until we were basically middle-aged. So we got a very slow start on this process.
Incredibly slow start. And it's just one of those things. Not everybody has a job or works in a place where you're going to have those things provided. So it is important to know kind of where we're coming from and our thought process to help you kind of take this all with the right perspective.
Yeah, so we hope this will be a video of hope for you, because there is hope. There definitely is hope for everyone who thinks it's going to take a miracle. It's in fact not going to take a miracle for a lot of you with just a couple of little tweaks here. So let's look into what's being said out there. And we took this as a poll that was done by the Global Retirement Index in 2024, just to kind of prove the point of what is happening here. This shows you how many people thought it would take a miracle to retire in 2021, and then they updated that again in 2023 based on how much you already have saved, your net worth. And it's very shocking. Like this, once you see this, you will start to grasp what the problem is, because the very first category here is, and this is US only, so we're talking about just the US. If you're not in the US, you can kind of adjust it to your dollars. But 2021, people who had between $100,000 and $300,000, 43% of them thought they were not going to make it. And then in 2023, 46% of those people, so a 3% increase, thought that they were not going to make it if they had $100,000 to $300,000.
Yeah, which, thinking about it, that's probably a good sentiment to have at that stage. It didn't go up a ton. It basically stayed, like you said, 3%, not that big of a difference between 2021 and 2023. But what about the next category?
So the next category is $300,000 to $500,000, and this is where it starts to get a little shocking, because in 2021, it was 41% thought it would take a miracle, and in 2023, 47% thought it would take a miracle. So actually, more people in the higher income bracket think it will take a miracle than people in the lower income bracket. So this is where you start to see there's definitely a disconnect. And it's going to get even worse here in a minute. So let's keep going. Let's look at people who have $500,000 to $1 million. And I know when we were younger, in our 30s or 40s, we would say something like, if we ever had $1 million, it would just be
we'd be set.
We'd be set for life. Like, it would just be, and you might be thinking that too right now. But we look at the stats. 2021, 39% of those people thought it's going to take a miracle, and in 2023, that went up to 43% of people between $500,000 and $1 million thought it was going to take a miracle to retire.
It's so crazy to me to see the consistency really in the numbers, but of the amount of people, how that number is going up, the more people are thinking it's going to take a miracle. But the crazy part to me is how the person with between 100 and 300,000 thinks the same thing as someone with 500,000 to $1 million.
Exactly.
That it's going to take a miracle for them to retire. It's like, what is it going to take?
Okay, now let's get to the people that we all know it's not going to take a miracle for, and see what they think. High net worth people, they've got over $1 million. They're already there. They basically have all the money they need to retire. But in 2021, 35% of them thought it was going to take a miracle for them to retire. And in 2023, that shot up to 42% of people with over $1 million thought it would take a miracle to retire. That's only 4% less than the people with $100,000. That is insane. And what this is telling you is that it doesn't matter how much money you have. 40% of the people out there will think it's going to take a miracle. If you'd have told someone in the $100,000 range that if you gave them $900,000, would it still take a miracle? They would all say no. But this shows you that the psychology of it is really kind of what's holding people down. No matter where you're at, 40% of the people are prone to thinking it's going to take a miracle because of what people are saying to you and what all the people around you are saying and what you're seeing and thinking.
Yeah, and I think that's the key. I think it's that you're likely, I mean, in almost all cases, you're surrounded by people who are essentially in your same bracket of sorts. Not too far outside of what you're in, because you're probably going to own homes in the same area, have the same types of jobs, all those types of things. So you've surrounded yourself, whether you like it or not, with people who are essentially in your same, tax bracket or these numbers. And to think that they're all thinking the same thing in all four of these that they shared. It's just kind of blows my mind to think that the 100,000 and over 1 million are both thinking it's going to take a miracle for us to retire. It's just it shows you that when you compare yourself with the other people that are just like you, it really skews your perspective on the overall, window of what's actually happening in the retirement sphere.
Yeah, you likely have a very bad picture of where you actually are, and it's skewed by the fact that there's people that have more than you, and there's people that have less than you, but you discount that in your mind, and you don't really take that into account, because if you're watching this video, especially if you're from America, you have more than most of the world already. You do. This is only taking into account Americans too. So that's just crazy to me. So let's talk about some next steps that you can do, because this is not going to take a miracle. Especially if you're over that $1 million, you're already there. That should be zero, but it's not. And so there is a real disconnect, and that's what we have to address. You need to, the very first thing is strip away this thinking. You've been taught, because the retirement industry feeds on fear, and it's an industry that's designed to make money from retirees. It feeds on fear, and that fear is very systematic, and it will tell you you're never going to make it, you're never going to make it. No one's ever telling you you're going to make it, which you are, because they want you to get this product, that product, get this advice, get that advice. And it's just an industry that is designed around that, and it's working apparently because of those numbers. So the first step you need to do, surround yourself with people who think like you, who think they're going to make it, and who are open to exploring other ideas, other avenues than just the status quo of what retirement has always been.
Yeah, and I think if you're going to get out of that hamster wheel of that thought process of I'm not going to make it, everybody's in there, regardless of their tax bracket, everyone's in there saying I'm not going to make it. If you ever want to get out, you have got to expand your comfort zone. You got to step outside of your comfort zone, because it's actually going to make your comfort zone bigger, really, at the end of the day, when you step outside that. And you're going to meet people outside your comfort zone that are going to show you that, hey, this is not so crazy. That's where it gets bigger for you, when you have a community of people who can are thinking like you, are thinking, I gotta get out of this, I don't want to do this, I don't want to stay in the box, I want to do things a little bit different. Having that community is really key. That is one of the things that we really love about our retirement travel Jumpstart community. And one of the things I see on there a lot, people saying that, gosh, this is amazing to not have to explain my whole thought process to people, to not have to try to convince them. They don't want to, the people in this group, they're already thinking that. They're already thinking down that line. They already stepped out of that hamster wheel, out of the box, and they're looking at things a little bit different and different possibilities. And that's really where things change.
Yeah, and that's been a huge life change for us, is just being around people that agree with the fact that this is going to be fine and we're going to do this. And I think that life change comes when you do step out of your comfort zone. Like, for instance, our first time we came to Southeast Asia, we're filming this from Southeast Asia right now. It was hard, like it's shocking to the system to be, you get culture shock. And now that we've stepped out and we have come several times, it actually feels like home, even more like home than maybe home. So when you do step out of that comfort zone, it does just make everything more comfortable. And that's one of the things that we did, because we realized we are not going to make it. And it's true that we weren't going to make it in the U.S. working the same jobs we've always worked, trying to live and trying to retire where we were going to do. And we thought there has to be a better way than working till we're 80 just to have this same lifestyle. And so we started researching cheaper countries where we could go, and we settled on quite a few of them. We're in Thailand right now, Vietnam, things like this, Indonesia, Malaysia, and there are so many amazing opportunities. So the first thing you need to do after you surround yourself with people is go check out places, because that gives you a baseline. We know now that we've been over here for better part of a couple of years, that we could live here full time if we needed to. And we know that we could do that on a little bit less than $2,000 a month if we needed to. And that thought, knowing that, gives such great comfort, because we already know we're going to make it now.
Yeah, I think that's really important in opening your eyes to other possibilities outside of the U.S. You don't have to abandon, the U.S., but you can start to look at the options that are outside there and say, oh my goodness, my quality of life is going to be better. I'm going to be able to do more things, see more things, enjoy more things. The sooner you do it, the better. So don't wait until oh my gosh, I have to leave the hamster wheel because I can't move anymore. You wait too long and it's going to be really difficult to start to see some of the other options that are out there for you.
Exactly. And then the next step is you've got to get to a stable income of around $2,000. This can be through Social Security, through dividends from the stock market, your pension, maybe it's an online job you're working, whatever it is you're doing. Once you get to that $2,000 mark, where you get that money no matter where you live in the world, that opens up the world. I mean, that opens up, that's it. You can do it on $2,000. We have a ton of videos on this channel about which countries you can live in for $2,000 or less, and you can live an amazing lifestyle on that. There's even people living on $2,000 in the U.S. I mean, that's also possible. It won't be in downtown New York or downtown Chicago, but there are people doing it. So once you come to that realization, like, do I really want to work for the rest of my life to maintain this lifestyle and I'm still probably not going to make it? Or you start looking for places where and it's not like we're settling for just that $2,000 lifestyle. That's the base case. Once you get there, you can build on that with many other opportunities.
Yeah, because that's the other thing too, is people think, oh, retirement, well, that means I can't do anything. You can. And, one of the things that we do is YouTube. It doesn't take a lot of time. It's not like, we're committing to working 50 hours a week. We're barely working 5 a week between the two of us. You can do things to bring that income level up without having to sacrifice a lot of your time too.
Exactly. So I think it's important to step outside and strip away this thought process of we're not going to make it, because it's pretty clear that something in our system of life is telling everybody that no matter what income you're at, you're not going to make it. So whatever that negative force is, you've got to strip that away. Just understand that it's there. Understand that that's something that's being told to you that probably isn't applicable to you. 60% of the people aren't believing it. 40% are, basically, in every single category. I'm still blown away by the fact that there's only a 4% difference between 100,000 and 1 million. Like, I don't even understand that.
It shouldn't make sense, because it's just crazy to think that, those with 100 to 300,000 are thinking the exact same thing as those with over 1 million. And if they knew about each other or even thought about each other, they'd be like, oh, wait a minute, this is different.
Yeah, and if you ask people with 10 million, it would be the same percentage, because 10 million, they'd be thinking, well, I'm never going to be able to retire with a yacht. I'm never going to be able to, at 100 million, it would be the same thing. That's our psychology. So get rid of that. Just understand that that's there. That's probably the first thing holding you back. And just don't listen to people that say you're not going to make it. They're just putting fear into you, and that's just something you don't need to deal with. Again, these numbers and these percentages were only U.S. If you are in the U.S., which a lot of our audience is, you just have to know that's an even bigger percentage, because you're already ahead of most of the world with how much money you've saved.
Absolutely. I think that's also something that helps, again, bring things into perspective when you realize, okay, these are the numbers just for the U.S. It's crazy when you start looking at the numbers outside the U.S. We actually did a video here on the channel about that, and it was just, the numbers were just staggering to think we're so far ahead. Even if you're starting at that 1 to 300,000, which is where we were, so far ahead most people in the world, and it's just, kind of mind-boggling that the people with over 1 million don't realize that.
Yeah, so this is something that we feel very passionate about, and people in the community do too. There's a link in the description to the Retirement Travel Jumpstart course and community. The community is included with the course if you want to get that. Come join us, get some support, get people that are thinking the same thing you are. We have tons of group meetups, group trips we're doing, and going on just one of those trips, you would meet so many people that you would never have to listen to anyone again tell you you're not going to make it, because they're all going to tell you you're going to make it, because guess what? They're all already traveling the world and doing this. And so, our first meetup of this year is going to be in Da Nang, Vietnam in May, and there's already going to be over 50 people there meeting up and just making friends and sharing stories and giving help and encouragement. So if that's something you're interested in, check that out. We hope this video has been helpful for you, because it's not as bad as it seems, and if you're just isolated, you may really be stressed out about that fact that you're not going to make it, but there's a very good chance that you are. So if this was helpful, please give us a like, subscribe if you haven't already to the channel, and we will see you on the next video.